Okay, great.
Are we ready? Are we live? Okay, we will open the Greenwood Town Council meeting, May 13, 2026. It is 6:30 PM. If you'll stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we'll start off with the public comment. Didn't see you didn't sign up for public comment. Being none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes, April 15, 2026, Town Council meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Motion by Mr. Willie. Is there a second?
Second,
Dan, did you second?
yes.
Second by Mr. Nelson. Are there any corrections or additions? Being none, Mr. Willie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Massey, how do you vote?
I'll recuse, I wasn't here.
Okay, move on. April 15, 2026, executive session minutes. Entertain a motion?
Mr. Donovan,
Sir.
how did you vote on this minutes? You voted yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
I vote yes. Okay, the executive session, April 15, 2026, do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion, we accept it.
Okay, I have a motion by Randy Willie, do I have a second?
Second,
I have a second by Dan Nelson. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Being none, Mr. Massey, how do you vote?
I recuse, I wasn't here.
Mr. Nelson, how do you vote?
yes.
Mr. Willie, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay, April 30, 2026, special council meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Needs to be an addition. Councilman Massey was here at that meeting. It's missing from,
It's missing from the paperwork, that's all. But I make a motion to approve with that addition.
I'll second.
Okay, is this for the special council meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Massey, second by Mr. Willie. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Outside the one we just said, having my name added to the present list, no.
Okay, please make that addition. Mr. Willie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson, how do you vote?
yes.
Mr. Massey, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, police report. Chief?
Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of council. You should have received my written report. As far as the verbal report, if you don't have any questions about the written report, I can move on to the verbal report. No questions on the written? Excellent. Verbal report this evening for enforcement for the month. During the month of April, the department handled 74 calls for service and police-related responses. Also, due to the detour for road construction that's occurring this month and the increased volume of traffic on Governor's Avenue, we have focused our motorist safety efforts in that area and will continue to do so until the road construction is completed. I'm sure you saw increased police presence on Governor's Avenue since this has begun out here on the market. Significant events for the previous month of April. On April 15th, I met with the new head of security for Capital One as the merger has been completed between the two companies. The location will still be operating under basically the umbrella and the name of Discover, and I'm awaiting a follow-up meeting with the corporate members. So as soon as I get notification, I'll be meeting with the actual corporate side of that. Upcoming community events, we have begun our preparations for National Night Out, which is scheduled for August the 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be held again at the Greenwood Firehouse. We're still looking for donors and vendors. If you have anyone, please contact myself or Police Administrative Assistant Alice Green for more information. Some training updates. I attended the Delaware Association of Chiefs of Police meeting in Dover on April 14th. Lieutenant Thomas attended and successfully completed alert training. For those of you that aren't familiar with what alert is, it's our response to active shooters. He completed that training on the 20th of April. Administrative Assistant Alice Green attended the DPAC Accreditation Manager Training on April 22nd, 2026. This is to get Ms. Green up to speed to assist us in our accreditation process. The more hands on deck for that, the better. So she will be as equivalently trained as myself and the lieutenant. So if one of us needs assistance, she will be there to help. Corporal Tucker continues to advance her proficiency as she attends K-9 training. Certification testing begins soon, and our anticipated graduation date is the week of May 25th. So we're wishing her all the luck. This is going to be a stressful couple of weeks because it's a lot of testing. It's very physical, so hopefully we get through that part and get the certifications completed. Some fundraiser information. Please come out and support the K-9 program at the Greenwood Fire Hall for Greenwood Chicken Sales on Saturday, May 16th, so this Saturday, from 8 a.m. until we sell out. And the platters are $12 a piece, and the proceeds, portions of the proceeds will go directly to the K-9 fund. So, does anybody have any questions about the verbal report? That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Chief, appreciate it. Ms. Slater?
Good evening, council members. We have had calls to multiple companies for a building intrusion system. One has been on site but has not yet provided a quote, so we're still working on that. We tagged and or mailed grass violations on 14 properties. I spoke with DelDOT for project and road closure information. The original projection was 10 to 14 days for the road closure. It was passed on this morning that they're hoping to have it open by Friday. So we should hopefully be done with everything by Friday. I signed the proposal from DBF for the town hall and police department renovation, design work and cost estimating. And I did meet with the town engineer as well as an architect from Davis, Boeing and Fresnel, and we went over a couple things around the building and things that we'd like to see. I met with the town engineer and DEMA regarding the hazard mitigation plan and grant funding that is upcoming, which there's a memo from her in your packet. The RFP for the ERP software, which ERP software is enterprise resource planning software. It takes all of your things and puts them into one place. All your financial, all of your accounts payable, tax information, water information, it's all in one software. So we've put out a request for proposal on that. It was posted on the website, and proposals are due by June 9th, and there will be a bid opening June 9th at 4:30. I filed the Community Reinvestment Funds grant application in the amount of $55,000. I also did the pre-application for the Outdoor Recreation Parks and Trails grant in the amount of $55,000. So the total between those two is $110,000 for playground equipment. I did put in for 2 sets of bleachers for the Little League. DENREC at this point is unsure if they can be funded by the DENREC grant, which is the Outdoor Recreation Parks and Trails grant. And when it comes time to do the final application, we'll know at that point if it is permissible. I've been working on classifying unrecorded transactions from 2022 for audit preparation. And I know we discussed the dump truck and the sale of it at the last council meeting. I've not been able to speak with anybody for an actual quote on the replacement. With, I would say, an F-250, I would see no reason to have another CDL vehicle. That's, you know, it's gonna make it more difficult to find a replacement for Roger, and it's also not a vehicle that the town this size needs on a regular basis. But I did speak with 2 municipalities who have purchased F-250s with plows recently, and it would cost about $70,000 to purchase one right now. To purchase a medium to lightweight dump truck would be about $100,000. And I did research the ordinance about the disposal of surplus property, and we can sell it on eBay or GovDeals or by public auction or sealed bids. We have been working Sharon, the engineer, and I have been working with CERCAP, on a household income study, because right now, our median household income is based on everyone in the 19950 zip code, not just the people centered in the town limits. So we will be mailing that out to the residents, in the next couple weeks. And we'd like to encourage everybody to participate because it helps us with grant funding. We've been working on vendors for the market day. We have a public hearing scheduled for the Planning Commission for June 9th and the Town Council June 10th for the accessory structure ordinance revision. Both have been sent to the Seaford Star for publication. The VFW is having an 80th birthday celebration on May 16th. And we have received and installed the remote desktop deposit device and been using it daily. Cash deposits will still go to the bank weekly by courier.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Nope, thank you.
The only question I had was, the 70 grand for that 250, that's brand new out of the box.
Yes,
Have we researched and seen if we could pick up something surplus? Cause we could sell our stuff on one of the surplus
yeah, we
sites.
could do that. I
Okay.
didn't, so I looked into it briefly, but those vehicles are already built and so specific, you know. Honestly, I don't see the point in replacing it at all, because it's something that's only utilized in a snow event.
Right,
Otherwise, it sits in the garage. We don't have 2 employees,
right.
you know,
That's what I'm saying, and then if we got one guy out plowing, it is what it is, the state comes through, they take care of the
Right.
main drag going through town anyway, do we really need it?
right,
Could we go down to something like a plow setup for the gator maybe?
that may be more ideal, and it can be used for doing sidewalks.
Save the town some money.
And I know other municipalities do that as
Right.
well.
We could do a side by side or something for the
Mhm.
gator, and it would save us a chunk of cash, and we'd
Yeah.
still alleviate ourselves of the CDL issue. So, alright, cool, now that's all I had.
Okay, on to old business. Anybody else have anything?
I do like the budget reports.
Oh,
Just
good.
saying. Yes.
They're not easy to compile.
Everybody good? Okay, moving along to old business, a employee PTO, paid time off.
As we discussed last time, I had drafted what I call the very straightforward and simple PTO policy. Forwarded it, looking for feedback, as I know there were some asks, there's a few things I do wanna add or discuss, but is there anything with this that the town, our staff has any comments on? I tried to clarify what was asked.
Well, I think there probably needs to be some verbiage in there to differentiate what restrictions are for utilizing, it's PTO, which is all one big pot. But I worry about staffing levels and notifications on sick leave. If somebody anticipates using sick leave,
Okay,
there has to be a caveat in there with the conditions and the parameters of sick leave. That way, PTO has to be approved by a supervisor. You can deny PTO depending on staffing levels or departmental needs. If you already have somebody off on PTO, you can deny if another employee puts in for the same day. Now, if somebody says, I'm sick, we're kind of in a pinch there.
okay,
You can't deny sick time, you know what I mean? So, but it is all one pot now. And if somebody wants to utilize it as sick time, we gotta have some form of parameter set for that.
okay,
If we're going to abolish the existing handbook policy that we have for vacation, sick time, bereavement, and utilize this as the new system, I personally think there should be some form of stipulations in there, just to cover that sick time event.
okay.
Councilman Nelson, if I may, I think that I had the chance to meet with staff about the PTO situation and, discussed some of their feedback and just kind of to vet from an employment law standpoint. There's nothing at all on the face of the draft that is a problem from a legal standpoint. I would say that a common approach to kind of piggyback on Chief's observation is just have a framework for the bases on which leave can be activated. So you would leave in place the idea of a large tranche of unified leave, and then just have, you know, if you are scheduling something that's time off for personal or vacation purposes, please do it 30 days in advance or 2 weeks in advance or whatever the case may be. So that way, if there's a staffing level concern, you know, like for example, your town manager shared that there are certain requirements about having, for the utilities function of your water utility, not having that unstaffed under certain circumstances, and there are other obviously requirements in terms of the outward facing function of the police force and issues involving callback and standby and things like that that are part of the police function when they're dealing with like staffing levels and things like that. So I think there's a way to do it. I actually favor personally the idea of like a unified bucket of leave, because it simplifies the process, and then having like a clearly explained definition of how it's accrued is very good, because it references accrual, for example, right now in one of the numerous different leave policies is in current handbook, but it doesn't explain the rate at which it's accumulated or anything of that sort. I know that the practice of the town has been to not accumulate it on a running basis anyway. So it does no good to have a policy that's not being utilized in practice. So I think something that's more clear and able to be implemented and understood by both the department heads as well as the underlying employees is a benefit. So, you know, I think really the only thing that's significant that is not encapsulated there is this idea of like the circumstances of the how, and how much advance notice, and you know, if it is due to a medical reason, you can describe it that way, and it's for so many days, then we'd ask for this, because there were references, as example, if somebody's out and there's a return to work issue, that there needs to be some way to become aware of that. If there's like, and by that I mean like a fit for duty, like if somebody who's a police officer, for example, ends up having some sort of internal challenge with, you know, maybe they're at a risk for some sudden event. Well, it does no one any good if that police officer wants to be courageous and say, I'm gonna get back out on the road and be aggressive and a good employee, but then they're kind of downplaying something. So there are items like that when you think about bases for leave, and maybe there are other things too that would trigger, like there's FMLA, which I don't know that you guys are, you know, necessarily how that's digested, but I know that there's FMLA and workers' comp and other things that would trigger too, that would create certain appropriate discussions. But for something that's more run of the mill, where they're not gonna be out for an extended period of time, having that structure in place probably makes sense. So just a thought in terms of all those different permutations that were covered during this meeting.
Now, because this ties into, I appreciate the feedback of, tied into PTO is gonna be the concept of comp time. And as the more research I did, I was 5 hours later into the Fair Labor Standards Act and digesting it, I started getting into the exempt, non-exempt employee and how each would get comp time. And it was something that with this, what I would like to do is have it put on next month's agenda, that the PTO, comp, and the employee handbook all be discussed for action on all, would be the best way forward.
I think that's doable.
Now, and with the comp time in particular, you know, this is something that, much like PTO, you're trying to set up parameters that I, as the councilman, am gonna want a pretty rigid structure with it, that I'll be prepared to discuss. Like, you know, some of my ideas were, you can get in a year is 40 hours, can be gifted. How the approval system works through management, that a report, like it'd be in the police report, which officers have, how much, what comp time is in their bank. Rhiannon, and your town manager report for you and your staff. You know, it's use it or lose it. That there's no payout. That if you don't use it by the end of the year, it's gone. And it'd be based only within a calendar year. So those were kind of some of the limits, because unfortunately, comp time is one of, and I'm not saying staff would do this, but it's one of the most abused things. So, because it's harder to track than normal, than what you would think. So those are some of the ideas,
I
but
mean, I can certainly say from the state perspective, because they have multiple constructs. They have comp time, they have PTO, they have sick. So sick, for example, is able to be cashed out at half of the value if you retire, but not if you merely resign.
Yep.
So there's a different construct there, and then you can, cash out comp time, but there's like a separate tracker for that, and how it exists, and the way that it's tracked, and even the increments in which it can be used, like there are wrinkles within the system that the state happens to use where that's like very confusing, so I think the more easy to follow, the better, but I think, I would assume that you'd want me to be involved in basically redoing the town's personnel policy and all that sort of stuff, and checking the things as they go, so, I think I'm prepared to fine tune a concrete set of recommendations in consultation with your department heads and get something that you guys can consider and vote on by the next meeting.
Hey, sir, could we get you to just tell us who you are?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think most
Yeah.
of us know, I'm sorry.
You do.
I didn't know
Yeah,
the
for
second, but
those listening.
we've got
at home,
people outside,
Yeah, for those
watching
listening.
that won't know who you are. when
That's
you're talking.
absolutely Councilman Willie. So for those
Thank
listening at
you.
home, I'm Anthony Del Colo, the town's, affable and friendly employment lawyer.
Appreciate that,
Of course.
because if not, we're gonna get some calls tomorrow, when
Who's
who's that
that?
speaking?
Who's that guy? This is Anthony Del Colo.
Thank you
Labor
so much.
employment attorney from Offenburg.
So you're pretty sure you can have this ironed out by the next meeting?
Yes.
Then I would make a motion that we move this to the next meeting and be able to take a vote on it at that next meeting.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Anthony to proceed with the handbook and the comp time and the PTO. Correct?
Yes, sir. At the next meeting.
At the next meeting, at the June meeting. And I have a second by Mr. Nelson. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, are there any questions referencing this motion? Being none, Mr. Anthony, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Willie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, moving on. Anthony, Brandon's not here. The next item on the agenda is discussion and action regarding town manager contract. Do you have that?
So, the contract is able to be voted on, but I think there were some questions about, because of the current status of how your leave works and the length of time that the town manager has currently been here, and the fact that I think your handbook does say that you can have a different construct for those leave details under an employment contract. I believe that was the last point to be ironed out. I am not certain, as I sit here, exactly what the request was, but I am more than able to implement into the draft whatever those requests were so that it can be voted on. And I don't know if we have a sense of what those requests were. It probably can be discussed now if it's the pleasure of council, but in terms of the legal sort of like machinations of the contract itself, all the heavy lifting is done. The last piece was the wrinkle about how do we deal with any sort of PTO basically, because of the fact that under the current contract, you can't use PTO. And I understand that some employees in the first year, I understand that some employees will have like planned vacations and, graduations of kids and other things that probably will need to access some leave, as I understand it.
I'm open for discussion.
I mean, the original contract said that I could use leave, I think, within 10 days. Or, it was either 10 days or 30 days, I don't remember exactly. And I don't have a copy of it here.
And you don't have a copy either?
I have an email that I forwarded, which I could re-forward to Rhiannon to have printed if you would like.
Probably makes sense to have a brief recess to see if that could be accomplished, and then
Sure.
maybe a 5-minute recess, but.
Okay, entertain a motion for 5-minute recess.
Motion so made.
Mr. Willie, second. Second.
Second.
Mr. Massey. Mr. Willie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Massey, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes as well.